Hello friends, bienvenidos. My name is Jen, aka Jen Colo on social media, your local witchy friend and intuitive guide through the occult. As always, my lovely husband and co-host is David, aka Premier Pulls on social media.
Hi everyone. On today's episode, Jen explains the new year.
Welcome to the show. Grab a chair, make yourself at home. Jen's got stories to share. You'll never feel alone.
Well, it's good to be back. We took a little break, which, you know what? We were stressing internally, but I think you were stressing just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's going to be fine. Everybody's celebrating with their family. And at the end of the day, you know, we adhere to our schedule. So, you know, I think through the whole lifetime of the podcast, we're still doing pretty good. We've only missed a couple, like a handful. So I was okay with giving us a little bit of a break. But for anybody who was curious, I think we were going to do like winter solstice / Christmas for last week. But I enjoyed not having that compromise so much. Well,
Yeah.
You did not.
No, I was stressing because I was ready to talk about it, but then just a lot happened. We got caught up with the holidays and
But I think everybody did. And
Yeah.
people still probably are. You know, it's the new year. This worked out perfectly because the episode is coming out on the new year.
Yeah.
And so I think people are still maybe in that vacation mode
Yeah.
and they're still doing what they're supposed to. A lot of podcasts and shows do take a longer break.
Winter break.
Yeah, they take like a winter break or like
Yeah.
even the new year, they'll say like, oh, we'll see you back in March or something. We're not going to do that, so don't worry. But we did take a week off for ourselves, which, again, I thought was a good thing to do.
Yeah, but we are in the new year. I'm excited for the new energy. And with that, we have some news. We are going to be moving into a new office. So excited. It's bigger, it's more private, but it's still within Luna 209. So if you've been to the Merced location, it's basically still there, just one room over that way.
Yeah, and we're really excited for that because we love the location. We love the little community here at Luna. And we're just really excited to have kind of our own private room.
Yeah.
When we got the room we're currently at, it's kind of like an open room.
Yeah.
We probably should have done a little tour, but it's not super private or soundproof. So we're going to be having our own room, which I'm super excited for. And maybe this time we will give a tour just to show the people. But if you've been in our studio before, you know, come back again so you can see the new studio. We'll most likely be completely moved over by like mid-January.
Yep. Yeah, that's the timeline. But I feel like we've made magic in this room. Like we've definitely turned it into
Our
a
own
dining
little space. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it. I think if somebody had seen it before we put our stuff in and made it our own little nook, I don't think people would have seen the potential. But we really did see the
We did.
potential. We're like, hey, we'll take it. It really is like more of a hallway than a room.
Magical hallway.
Yes, it's a magical
Yeah.
hallway. But I'm really excited, again, for the new year, new possibilities. Things kind of just worked out the way they needed to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But we are in 2025, aren't we?
That is wild.
Yeah,
And
it's a new
speaking
year.
of 2025 and making magic, if you're interested in being on Mystic Maintenance, which is our new segment, if you haven't seen, it's basically when I give a reading and we use the content. It's a lot of fun, and it's free for the participant. So we are doing a casting call from March to December of 2025. So if you're interested, hit us up.
Yeah, let us know. There's a whole process. We'll probably take you out to coffee, get to know you a little bit, and just kind of go from there. But if you are interested, let us know. And if you're a practitioner of something specific, or not really specific, but if you're a practitioner of the occult or anything of that nature, also let us know, because we have our other segment, which is called Experience Exchange. I wanted to call it like expert something, but you were like, no, expert's too like nerve-wracking for people. I just want to
nobody would have come on if it was called expert.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
No, 1,000%. I was told I refuse to do it. So that was our compromise, which it is an experience exchange. So I'm still happy with that title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's the housekeeping. What else do we have as far as housekeeping?
That was it.
That's it?
We're ready to jump into this new year.
All right, awesome. Well, let's do it. So we're going to talk today about the new year. You wanted to do a manifestation episode, and I said, hey, we've done a manifestation episode 14.
I totally forgot.
So if you haven't listened to it, maybe you might want to go listen to it too, Jen, and
I know, right?
see if it holds up. But we do have a manifestation episode. If that's kind of what you were expecting, it's already done. So go listen to it.
Yeah.
But we decided to do the new year because it's the perfect subject on the perfect day for our perfect comeback.
Yeah.
So tell us about the new year.
So most of the Western world knows New Year's as January 1st. Yay, we do the thing. But other cultures do not have January 1st as their New Year. So that was one of the more fascinating things that I thought about when it came to this topic. So for example, a lot of us have heard of Lunar New Year, which is from Asia predominantly, and that is the new moon that falls sometime between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. They have their own formula that was the best I could sort of whittle it down to explain. And then in the Middle East, which I learned this last year, very exciting, they celebrate something called Nowruz, which falls exactly on the spring equinox. So their new year falls in line with really like nature's new year, which I thought was so beautiful. And also the astrological new year, because Aries season is always on the first day of spring equinox when you look at tropical astrology, aka Western astrology. So I was like, that is so beautiful.
We celebrate based on the Gregorian calendar, right?
Yes.
So it's all arbitrary. I would agree that I think spring should be the new year. Mm-hmm. Middle of winter in December is kind of a weird time to do it. It's chaotic. Mm-hmm. It's not like a nice, pleasant time to want to be out celebrating new beginnings. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's a little like it's not the right time.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that other cultures align more to things that make a little more sense as far as like the seasons. And then it seems so ubiquitous for us because we celebrate 12 months, but not all cultures celebrate 12 months or even a starting year. So for us it seems like okay, but honestly it is very arbitrary. 12 isn't a nice round number. It's interesting for sure. It
is. So let's talk about how we got here. So yes, the system that we use is the Gregorian calendar, and it was started by Pope Gregory VIII in 1582 in order to more accurately align with seasons. But the underlying agenda, because there always is one, is to push the agenda of Easter and to have Easter line up with the springtime more accurately. Before that, we used something called the Julian calendar, which only had 10 months, and it was like slightly erroneous. They had like an 11th month that they were like, sometimes we want to make it 2 weeks, sometimes we want to make it 4 weeks. It was very like
so there's
arbitrary.
no consistency.
There was no consistency.
But even with our time, I mean, we have to add in a leap year every 4 years.
I'll talk about that. The Gregorian calendar isn't perfect, but it makes more sense, and I'll talk about that. But with the Julian calendar, there was a day added every like 130 years. Basically, it didn't line up. So after so many years,
cycles.
You would have like, Christmas in February, you know what I mean? In terms of like the seasons and like what's happening in nature, like things just wouldn't line up. So with the Gregorian calendar, leap year exists because Earth's orbit around the sun is what we consider a year. It's not perfect. Nothing in nature is like a perfect round number. So really our orbit is a little more than 365 days around the sun. It's more like 365 and a quarter. Which is why we do a leap year every 4th year, because it adds up to an extra day.
The only thing I ever care about the days of the year is how many paychecks I'll get that year. Sometimes you get like an extra one in certain months. Sometimes it comes a little sooner than expected. So that's kind of my only like why I need it to be, set up how it is.
Yeah, when is payday? I don't care about the season.
Basically.
When is payday? Yep. So it's very interesting just to see that like, and before the Julian calendar, which was before the Gregorian calendar, there was like the Roman calendar. It's a hot mess. And fun fact, did you know that, for example, in Nepal, they use something called the Bikram Sambat system? So to them, it's actually 2081.
Oh, I did not know
Because
that.
they use like a combination of a lunar solar sort of system that I could not explain to you, but it is 2081 according to that system.
Interesting.
So ultimately, time isn't real.
Yeah, basically.
Is basically what I learned from this episode. But it is so fascinating that people, including myself, find closure in like endings and beginnings. Like,
That's just the human mind, though. We need to make sense of things, and if it
Exactly,
was
yeah.
too disorganized or too chaotic, our brain would not be okay with that. So that's why in a lot of things that we find comfort in, not only obviously we're talking about the year and we're talking about time, but a lot of great literary works of art follow that same pattern, right? The hero's journey. There's a beginning, which is, and a conflict is introduced. There's like a resolution, and then there's an end. That's why cliffhangers piss us off so much. I was going to say Squid Games, but I don't want to give a spoiler, but I guess I already kind of did.
there's the cliffhanger and just leave it at that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's going to be a season 3.
Yes.
Is as much as we'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not just in time and calendars. As humans, we do need to be very regimented. And if we don't know what it is, we'll make things up. And sometimes we get in trouble for filling in the blanks with our beliefs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Something is just fits so nicely into my mind of like, okay, tomorrow is Monday. That is a fresh start. When in reality, it's like, what is a Monday? Like,
Yeah.
That's not really a thing, but it just helps our mind process like, this is how I can start anew. This is how I can be at peace with myself. So we do that to ourselves every Monday, but we also do that to ourselves, December 31st, January 1st. So a lot of folks like to make like vision boards, for example, or like to make like New Year's resolutions, New Year's rituals, manifest some sort of thing for a prosperous next year or 365 days. So
One funny thing that I've been seeing just kind of on memes and TikTok is start meeting people or start finding someone so you have somebody for Valentine's Day coming up in next month, right?
oh god,
Like start putting in the work now.
it technically is next month.
Yeah, so by the time
That's
people by the time that reaches around, then people will be set up for dates.
Yeah. But I think, it's so interesting to like want to start to do something when it's cold, it's cuddle weather, you just want to be inside. So my personal advice is to plan now, but feel free to sort of think about how you want to do it and execute on the spring equinox.
Yeah. I also feel like it's a bad time. Part of it is capitalism and consumptionism. Is like people's wallets are drained, people's energies are probably drained. A lot of people are sick. I think most of the people in our lives that we know have a cold, are getting over a cold, or like are starting to get a cold. It's just kind of a chaotic time of year. So to start anew seems counterintuitive, but I guess we make it work.
Yeah, whatever works for you. So we had a nice vision board workshop on the 30th under the Capricorn new moon. And to me, that was really symbolic because, like, yes, I look at the Gregorian calendar, but at this point in my life, I sort of adhere more to like time with astrology. So every new moon, that's when I feel like, oh, this is my new start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but I did do this on purpose. And this is going back to our color magic. You wore red today, and I decided to wear red to match with you, but also because it's a new year, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
what does red symbolize in like new beginnings?
It is very culturally specific. However, like red, I think of Aries, which is explosive, like a trendsetter.
Like, let's start this shit right. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different cultures, especially like the Latino culture, their superstition on like on the 31st, you're supposed to wear like a certain color underwear if you want XYZ. Do you remember what people said each color is? I know that
Red is love.
red is love.
Or isn't it pink? No, red is love. White is travel, I think.
I don't remember. It depends on who you ask.
Yeah.
There's no like guidebook. But anyway, there's a superstition in the Latino community that like the color underwear you wear is gonna dictate sort of like your abundance next year. So if you wear red, you might be more abundant in love. If you wear green, you might have more money, whatever, except I know that yellow stands for something. I can't remember what yellow stands for, etc., etc.
What about streak marks? What if you go to the new year?
That's bad luck. If you're starting the new year with streak marks, you're cursed.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness. There's also the other two traditions that I know. I've never done them, but, well, I've done one of them. I haven't done the other. But one of them is like exiting your doorway with your empty briefcases and your suitcases for more travel experiences. And then the other one is the grape one, where you eat 12 grapes as quickly as possible at the countdown.
Yeah.
And then you make like a wish. Yeah.
Each grape is a wish, so you get like 12 wishes because there are 12 months. But when we first got together and we celebrated our first New Year's with my family, they gave him 12 grapes, and everyone was like, "Okay, eat them as fast as you can." And
I swallowed all of them.
he was very competitive. He swallowed all of them, and we just stared like doe-eyed, like, "How did you do that?" But never get into a chugging competition with David because he drinks water like a fish, and apparently same thing with grapes.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then for New Year's, we've already talked about this, but a lot of people don't celebrate this New Year's, right? Yeah, they celebrate. Is it in February, like the Asian New Year's, like China,
so
Vietnam?
it depends. It could be late January to like mid-February. It is some system where there's a new moon sometime between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Like, I couldn't calculate it.
Yeah.
But that's basically what it is. They like track the moon in their own way. Yeah.
Can I also say that it's a personal goal of ours, and we've kind of failed the last 3 New Years to stay up. We mostly just kind of celebrate the Eastern New Year, which is like the New York time. We watch the ball drop on TV, and then we just can't make it to midnight, can we?
This year we will.
This year we will.
I am confident that we
Yes.
will. Yes.
I was a little disappointed the last couple of years because I was like, dang, are we really that old that we can't stay up till New Year's? I think one year we went to sleep, and then at midnight we woke up. We were already in bed, but we woke up, and I was just like, hey, Happy New Year's.
I think another year we were sick.
Yeah.
So I'll give us a pass. And then the other one, I think we were just tired. Oh, I was probably working.
Yeah.
I used to work for a crisis sort of nonprofit where I was a slave for 2 years for 24/7.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was probably working.
That's probably what it was.
probably what it was.
All right. So let's get into your part of it, the astrological thing for New Year's, what to do, how to prepare, what forecast does 2025 have?
Yeah, so you can look at, because we do subscribe to the Gregorian calendar, you could look at all of the astrology for 2025, which I am going to be selling a guide. So if you are interested in basically getting my notes for 2025 and sort of what to expect each month, hit us up. But if you wanted to do it yourself, some people like to do tarot pulls, like one card for the new year and then a card for each month.
Which is kind of what you do, right? Yeah.
I like to see that in conjunction with the astrology of the upcoming year and sort of plan out like, okay, this month is this month is that. Like when I was putting together my guide, March looks so nasty that I was like, okay, so in March we're gonna stay home and mind our business, but it can sort of help me like plan things out. If it's like, I know I really want to go to New York and I know I want to do it in the spring, but I don't exactly know when. It helps me sort of map out like, okay, I'm gonna shoot for this day and book the hotel for this day.
So March, definitely we're not traveling.
Yeah, I would not recommend March for anything really. But I posted a TikTok about this, but one thing that I highly recommend during like these last days of the New Year's is to just clean your house. We definitely have been cleaning for a lot of reasons, but one of my biggest motivations is because I want to start the new year off right. Just like in feng shui, there's a belief that if you have like a cluttered home, you'll have a cluttered mind and therefore like stagnant energy. And I just really feel more abundant and more productive when everything is tidy. So I've just felt super excited to clean because I want to start this year off right.
Yeah, I agree. That is one of the things. It almost seems like a luxury when we have time to clean. Luckily, we're very fortunate. We've had some time off from our 9 to 5s, to the point where I'm like, I could go back now. That stagnant stuff is nice, but I think you and I are just not wired to like stay still. I know on Sunday it was relaxing. We didn't really do much, but just a whole day of not really doing anything makes me feel a little not unaccomplished, but I'm like, oh wow, there's like a day of my life that I won't get back.
Well, maybe think about this. There are some superstitions, which I also subscribe to, that if you start cleaning on the first, or like basically if you do anything productive on the first, other than like the bare minimum, like yes, flush your toilet, yes, throw the trash away.
Flush your toilet? Yes, that's not even.
I know, but some people take it like really extra. But
like they don't flush their toilet?
They do some wild stuff in the name of abundance for the other 364.
Oh my gosh.
But
yellow, let it mellow. Brown, flush it down.
But there are some beliefs that on the first you're not supposed to clean at all because then you're going to be washing away your abundance or throwing away your abundance.
So you got to do it the day before.
The day before and then like on the second. But on the first you're just supposed to like vibe and absorb all of the good energy. So, I mean, I don't want to say that we're like dirty. We're clean, just like I personally am disorganized. He's the more
I'm cleaner.
organized one. No, you're more organized. We're both clean.
I'm cleaner.
Anyway, yeah. So whatever helps you get into the right mindset for this upcoming year, do that. You don't have to do all of the superstitions. Just do what you want. Some people get hung up. Like on TikTok, I saw this señora saying like, oh, you need to put like 4 coins on your I forget what is it called, like the door frame.
Yes.
To bring in abundance. And then people were tripping in the comments like, what if I tape it? Like, what if I don't have a door frame? And it's just like, just do whatever version works for you.
If you don't have a door frame, you probably have bigger problems than worrying about New Year superstitions, is my thought on that.
Or like enough of a clearance to where a coin can like rest. Maybe it's more like flush to the wall. But anyway, yeah. So a lot of people get hung up in like the materials and like I need to do it exactly step by step. But it's more your intention.
Yeah.
That really matters.
Again, referring to the manifestation episode. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what you said in that episode?
No.
You didn't even remember it existed.
I didn't even remember it existed. I probably said what I would say now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will listen to it.
Well, I want to do kind of 2 things with the new year. I think a lot of people get caught up in like, what's coming, what should I expect, how should I get ready? But for me, one of the big things, and I've talked about it before, is the reflection. Mm-hmm. Some things are big in reflection with the New Year's, like your Spotify wrap up. It tells you all the songs you listen to. Yeah. Or, there's a lot of shows that are like, this happened in 2024. But for us personally, like, what are your thoughts on 2024? Was it a good year? Was it a solid year?
It was a fantastic year.
Yeah, how's it going to go down in the books for us?
It was fantastic. I have made resolutions, vision boards, and they've always crashed and burned. This is the first year that I completed, I would say like 90%. Nice. Of all of my resolutions. Yeah.
Some of our banger years have been 2019. That one's a big one for the books for us. 2018 was shit, even though that's when we got married, but it was one of the more stressful years we've endured together. Where do you think 2024 ranks for us in the last 9 years we've been together?
The best. I think it was the best.
You think 2024 is the best? Oh, wow.
The best year.
Okay. Nice.
Well, between that and 2019, but I personally like 2024 the most. For me personally.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I knew it was a good year for you, but I didn't realize how special it was. So what have been your highlights? What have been some of the things that really made it memorable for you?
I think the fact that we started a business together, we got a studio, then we got like a secondary space and opportunity in San Francisco with Zia at Infinity Coven. We finally went to like audio video. I got over the feeling of like being self-conscious for a long time. I did not want to be recorded, let alone on camera. I've gotten over that fear. Like, it's so easy for me just to look at the camera now and like speak and just like not really give two shits about what anyone else thinks anymore. That's been like one of my biggest progressions.
You think
this
there's a
year.
lot of like internal healing? Yeah.
Yeah. I went on a big internal healing journey because we had a lot of eclipses in Libra. I feel like that really helped. I also did like therapy for a year.
I feel like this year for you has been the most like spiritual outward year for you. So what I mean by that, maybe you've had these same practices for the last 5-6 years, but I think this year has been the year that I notice it the most. And I'm curious what that's about. And my theories, I have a couple. One is with all the cleansing and healing that you've done, you really just don't care anymore. And you're not trying to hide who you are.
Yeah.
And two, just because now that is part of our journey with this podcast and all our projects with Kythera Collective, do you think you engage with it more now because it's kind of part of what you do for a living? Or is it more like, I just don't really care and I'm going to live my truth?
I just don't really care and I'm going to live my truth. And I wouldn't say this is a living yet, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know what I mean. It's like our business.
Yeah, it is our business.
And I mean, I think I'm exposed to it a lot too now, which I don't mind. I think it's interesting.
Do you mind?
I don't mind, but I'm still not like, it really is. I see you do your thing and I'm just in the background. Sometimes I'll find something interesting that you do. You did your manifestation reports and I thought those were incredible. I thought you formatted them really great. We've already had one customer who you did it for and I thought that was super awesome. Just the way you broke it down. So just as an observer that's really close to you, it's really fascinating to see, but it's not my cup of tea. We don't really have too many like spiritual conversations as far as like, you know, the astrology of it all. Like, I'll never come to you and be like, hey, what do you think for this month? Or jokingly, I think I'll be like, oh, are we in Mercury retrograde?
Yeah.
But I don't really, you know, I still don't subscribe to the ideas of it or the belief. But I have noticed a lot more from you this year, including your rituals, including staying on top of the things. I mean, there's times where you've even stayed up late because, you know, you're like, oh, I need to do this at a certain time. So you'll stay up like at 12, from 12 to 2 or whatever. So I had never seen that before. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but now I see it a lot more. And I was just kind of curious, like 2024 does seem to be the year that you came out of your shell in that regards.
Yeah, and even outside of like the spiritual stuff, even in the mundane stuff, like I got a promotion at work. I started like doing some financial stuff for myself again, and I've gotten a lot healthier. Like, you know, I go to my doctors and every time it's like progress and they're like, oh wow, you're doing a lot better since like last time. So just all around, everything is going like super well for me.
So what about going into 2025? Well, what are your expectations, or what are you looking forward to the most? Or in your case, like, what do the stars tell you is going to happen?
The first 6 months of 2025 is minding your own business and like keeping your head down.
I keep hearing you say that, not only to you, but to your clients and to everybody you come across.
Yeah.
2025, the first half is very like, stay in your lane, right?
So I want to focus more on working out. I mean, I'm already doing well in like other ways, but I actually want to build muscle. I want to get like stronger. I also want to build my endurance. So I'm going to challenge myself to do one thing that scares me, which is to go to a spin class.
Oh,
So,
that's exciting.
yeah.
I would go with you. The only thing I don't like about spin classes is like the seats are too small and then my butt cheeks hurt for like a week. So
I know, that's why I'm scared. So
Yeah.
we're going to try it.
maybe you bring your own cushion.
Yeah. I want to read more. Just very like,
You know, I got shit for reading. I was with you.
oh yeah,
I was-
at the cruise.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't read too much, but when we go on cruises, I find like it's the perfect time just to read. And we were with a group of friends, and they kept like shitting on me, like, "Oh, you're gonna go read?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, This is the time.
They're just mad because they can't read. Anyway.
No, we love them. I don't think they listen to the podcast.
We love
but-
you guys. But anyway, yeah. So it's very like introvert sort of vibe.
Reflective.
Yeah.
No new friends?
No new friends.
Okay.
Well, okay. If you add 2025, you get 9, and the ninth card in the tarot in the major arcana is the Hermit. So the astrology is already kind of warped because you have major retrogrades with all personal planets, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. And then you have eclipses in March, which is also horrible. So it's very much like stay in your lane, just do your thing and be calm, don't pick fights with anybody, and just focus on yourself, move in silence. So
Yeah, that's okay. Good advice. Which is funny. I know I mentioned this in one of our episodes in the past about 2025 coming up. I feel like we overstretched ourselves a little bit in 2024, and I was like, I just want to relax. I don't want to overcompromise myself. To the point that we don't have anything super planned other than a possible trip in April, but really, January, February, March. Past year, like February is a big year for us. We love celebrating Valentine's, but even this year, I don't know if we've really been to like, hey, let's make sure we do something. I'm also, without the astrology or without the metaphysical, I think subconsciously just being like, hey, I kind of just want to chill, do my own thing, stay in my lane, not cause any waves. Not that I do, but I'm really excited to just kind of like relax.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
what did you like about 2024?
Yeah, 2024 was an interesting year. I think for me, our chronicle had like a big paradigm shift between 2021 when we moved to Merced. Like, not to be cheesy or to be over dramatic, but our life has not been the same since. It's been very different. We've taken a very different trajectory as far as like who we are as people, who we are as a couple, what our endeavors are. 2023 we started the podcast kind of towards the end, but 2024 was really like the year we hit the ground running. I think we only had like, was it 8 episodes in 2023 because we started like late, so it wasn't, still kind of in its infancy, and it's still a young project. But I feel like we did a lot, and I was very proud of ourselves. If we're going to talk just about like Kythera Collective, the podcast, the community, I think we've made leaps and bounds, and I think it's been, 2024 was a very up and down year, I think, for me. It's, starting with Kythera Collective, it was a lot of like hurdles that we overcame that I thought, we definitely had conversations of like, hey, are we pulling the plug on this thing? Should we stop before it gets out of control and then it's harder to reel back? I think we had those difficult conversations as far as like the business part of it, but I still enjoyed the podcast. I think there was one episode, I can't remember where it was, and I think you and I got into the car and we're just like, what are we doing? We were very disappointed. We didn't really like how the episode came out. We ended up putting it out. It was fine. I mean, I listened to it. I think we're just really harsh on ourselves. We had lost a little bit of traction and momentum, and that happens a lot. And I think it's important that we talk about that because it's not always like perfect. It's not always like up. There's like waves to it. So I think 2024, for me specifically for Kythera Collective, had a lot of waves to it, a lot of ebbs and flows. But I got super re-energized once we started having guests. I think we've made a positive impact. A lot of our guests are very thankful for giving them the space, and it's just really cool hearing other people's stories and perspectives. So as far as like KC, Kythera Collective, like that's what my recap for 2024 is. We also celebrated our 1 year for Kythera Collective, which was super duper incredible. And then as far as like the personal stuff and just work and life, yeah, it's been an interesting year. I feel like it's a continuation of our journey. Again, post 2021, I don't think anything, major happened or anything that was beyond extravagant, but I think it was like a solid year. I wouldn't put it as my number one. 2019 still holds, a big place. 2020 for us was also not bad. I know it's a global pandemic, but you and I kind of got out of there pretty unscathed. Like we were okay. So I'm really excited for 2025. I think it's going to be a good year for, just that self. I think it's one of those things also that when a new year comes, you kind of start reflecting, especially as you start getting older, you kind of start thinking about different things, different legacies that you want to leave behind. So I think it's going to be a transformative year is kind of the prediction that I have. Mm-hmm. I have a qualm with New Year's resolutions. I don't really like the concept because, again, I think part of it is the arbitrary part of it, right? It's, we're going around the sun. It's not, I don't know. There's not a lot of like things that make me say, oh, it's so special that we're coming up on a new year. It's so arbitrary. But I did mention to you one thing that I do want to do is try going on walks more with you, just to spend time and then walk our doggy Lucy. The weather where we live is a little rough because the summer months you really cannot be outside, and then the winter months are like cold. The cold we can manage, but the rain. So when it rains really hard, it's like really unbearable. So it's hard sometimes to like have those perfect days, but I do want to like spend more time just out in nature. And where we live is like actually really beautiful. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of paths and like the sunsets are gorgeous. So I want to take advantage of that a little bit more. So that's kind of what I see for 2025.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that 2024 for you personally was a little bit rough, but like it had its highs and lows.
Yeah.
I can see why 2019 was better for you.
Yeah. And I actually like 2023 too. But it was a good year. I'm not like complaining, but it wasn't, I don't think like super memorable year, but we'll see what 2025 has in stock.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. All right, everyone. Well, I am so excited to see your 2025 journey. I would love to hear if you believe in New Year's resolutions, if you have any New Year's resolutions. I have some things cooking. One thing that I want to do in 2025 is be more collaborative, or even just host more of my own like classes and workshops. So I already have some things brewing for 2025. But we would love to, hear what you're working on and see if maybe we could work on something together.
We have to get better about the questions because we do have a lot of little questions that are all over our different platforms. So for our, is the next episode going to be a guest?
Ideally.
Yes.
Yeah.
So probably the episode after that, we're going to answer some of the previous questions that have been kind of sitting there. I know we have some regarding like some of the zodiac signs we did. So we'll get better about that. But please keep submitting. As a reminder, you can always submit a voice message or a voice memo, and we will play it on the podcast.
Yeah, through speakpipe.com, or if you're part of the Discord, send a voice memo there.
It's all in her link tree.
Yeah, it's all on the link tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. Well, happy New Year's. I hope 2025 is great for everyone. And please share our podcast. This might be a good time for you to tell your friends, like, hey, you want to start off the new year? I have a wonderful recommendation for you, and we'd love to grow the community and grow our little podcast.
And again, if you want to be on the podcast, there is a lot of opportunity in 2025. So get in before it fills up.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Remember, the magic within you makes the world a more beautiful place. Blessed be, and signing off. Bye.